afternoon and welcome to Rubbin'minds. My name is Isabella Adeliji. It's the last Sunday of 2024, and for this episode we cast our minds back to some of the major events that shaped Nigeria in the year 2024. We look at some of the personalities and of course some of the lingo that 2024 gave us. So much steeze, so much composure. But let's start with some of the most talked about events of 2024. Joining me for this very important conversation is a social commentator, Dapo Adaramewa. Welcome to Rubbin'minds.
Thank you for having me.
So when you look at the year 2024, I mean, something that has affected every single Nigerian is the economy. And one key thing is that devaluation of the Naira. We saw the Naira slide and slide and slide. And I think the questions Nigerians are asking is, could this have been better managed? And is there any hope in sight? Because at some point the Naira came down, but it was just temporary. And then it went back up. So what do you make of this economic conundrum that we found ourselves as a nation in?
I believe it could have been handled better. In terms of the impact, let's start with the impact it's had, right? You don't need to think very hard to see how it has affected everybody's life. For me, as a businessman as well, you literally watched half of all your savings, just more than half, just waste away in terms of the actual purchasing power of whatever you had stocked up, and how that has impacted your ability to run your business, particularly when you're thinking about expansion and growing your business. And let's not forget that, you know, each business employs people, and how that has impacted other people in terms of the purchasing power that people have, the ability to employ more staff. And not just that, it's even gotten to the level, even interest rates are affected as well. So in terms of impact, I think all round it's been very, very, let's just say, disastrous. Looking around and seeing what people are going through now truly is heartbreaking, you know. Everybody has felt it. Now, in terms of how it could have been managed, I think definitely there was room for there to have been a gradual process, right? I know the president in his last interview said, you know, it had to have been done that way. But in reality, we need to consider the impact of policies on people, right? Because the policies are there to serve the people. Now, if the people are paying the highest price for these policies, then what are we talking about here, you know? So there should have been a gradual, you know, devaluation of the currency.
Yes, and I agree with you there, because there are so many things that then happened. We saw increase in tariff, we saw the price of petroleum products go up, and it just had that ripple effect. Like you said, people's savings just literally disappeared overnight. Now I want us to move to politics, and one of the big events were the protest, the End Bad Governance protest. This is not the first time that Nigerians are hitting the streets in the past couple of years. I mean, I easily remember NSAS. If you put both of them together, would you say the End Bad Governance protests were effective, and did they achieve the objectives they set out to?
I would say what we witnessed in those two protests is different strategies of the leadership of the country. One was brute force and murder, and another was strategy played out in front of the whole world. You know, we saw how the protests themselves were squashed, you know, maybe not with as much force, but subtle little impediments to ensure that it never really caught fire. And that's all well and good, but the truth is the emotions that the Nigerian people are carrying is there more than ever, right? And most protests, if we're going to be realistic and look at the world as a whole, most protests that are ever successful in creating any kind of, you know, change are often not planned. They don't have a start date. It's just a natural eruption of people's emotions. Now, what happened with the end governance, does that mean it will never happen? Like, would people never get to the point where they've had enough? Of course not. We will see that if that anger is not dealt with, it will show itself in different ways. You know, people are suffering. They have to express that somehow. The president finally gave an interview, fantastic, but it took, what, 18 months for us to have a sit-down and conversation? In the middle of everything we're going through as a nation, your priority should be, you know, reaching out to the people, making us understand, even if you are taking us somewhere, help us understand where your vision is and speak to us, because you are now our leader. So show us what you want to achieve and be there to guide us through the process so we know that you're feeling our pain, not withdraw for a long time and eventually just come give one interview and think that solved the problem.
No, it definitely doesn't solve the problem, and there's just that clamor for the people to hear directly where are we going, whether it's the economy, the polity, the security. But let's move on to a lighter topic, entertainment. We've done economics, we've done politics. Now, Nollywood is huge, and something that filmmakers in recent times have really enjoyed is the popularity their films are getting on global streaming platforms like Netflix, like Prime, Amazon Prime, and of course you have also Showmax. When we now look at the year 2024, we saw Netflix, for example, mention that they are not going to continue commissioning releases from Nigeria. So they will license, and the advantage of that is cinema is now really booming. We've seen the 1 billion mark just in December alone. The Nigerian box office crossed that 1 billion mark. So what do you make of this for the filmmakers, for the people across that value chain?
I think it's beautiful, and if anything, it shows the resilience, the creativity, and the commitment of Nigerians to achieve great success, right? You look at not just the film industry, but also the entertainment industry as a whole. We're making leaps and bounds. The world is hearing our voice. It shows that we have what it takes to be successes as a people, right? What we need is a conducive environment in which this can, flourish. And what they benefit in large part from is the fact that the environment is conducive for it. If the government was to impose certain severe taxes on that sector or put, you need this license and make all these things difficult, we will see that sector again, suffer, right? But we're making leaps and bounds, and it shows us that Nigerian people are creative, we're problem solvers, and we are reaching the world. We just need to be able to extend that to other sectors of the economy as well.
So with the box office, the fact that Nigerian filmmakers now have to take their works to the box office and not rely on, say, Netflix to commission new releases, or even Amazon Prime, who have departed from Nigeria. As a result, people are trooping to the cinemas. People are going to watch Nollywood movies. You're seeing Nollywood movies go toe-to-toe with the biggest blockbusters from Hollywood. I mean, what do you make of this? Is this something that is going to be the trend? How can the government really catalyze this industry so that, we're not talking oil anymore, we're now talking entertainment?
I think it's a beautiful thing. It's good to see Nigerians supporting Nigerians, buying Nigerian products, watching Nigerian movies. That in the end is the main goal, right? We cannot solely rely on bringing in things from other countries. At the end of the day, it's dwindling our own local industry. So in terms of what the government can do, I think just continue more of what they're doing, ensuring that there's little government interference in all of these kind of things. I don't know if it was this year, there was some controversy about some images that were used, and some rights group, obviously erupting in anger. I think that was a music video by Davido where he depicted a certain sect, and people were calling for all sorts. Like, we need to pull back away from that and allow people express themselves creatively and just continue to support that sector. And, I believe we'll make more leaps and bounds in that area as well.
Yeah, I think something like filmmakers will also appreciate from government is just having the infrastructure, because you see some series, they're going to other countries like, say, Mauritania to go and shoot because of the desert. Meanwhile, here in Nigeria, we have deserts in Yobe State in the north, but insecurity continues to remain a problem, not just the infrastructure. And I just want us to look at the security situation in Nigeria for the year 2024. Despite the increased allocation of funds to security, we still have massacres happening. We still have a lot of insecurity. People are not going to the east during Christmas time. What should the government be doing to solve this issue once and for all?
I think the state of insecurity, although it has improved, you see, the difficulty oftentimes is admitting that we're making some progress. But often when you're talking about, I think 100 and something people were killed in a massacre recently, when you're talking about those kind of losses, can you really celebrate any progress at all? Because people are still dying. There's so much left for the government to do. And, in terms of not just funding the security forces, but ensuring that they are where they need to be. And by that, I'm referring to the fact that I believe there was a release, I don't know how true it is, but something around the fact that we have a lot more police officers protecting the rich and affluent Nigerians than we do actively in these zones, right? Which is a worrying trend. We should be able to stamp out corruption, which is very, very important in these sectors. You know, I have policemen as friends, and some of them complain about the fact even down to their basic uniforms is not provided, and you have to go source for that yourself. And then also the pay that many of them are receiving is not enough. You know, we all like to criticize the police, and I was there at the bad governance protest, and even the NSAS protest, right? But do you know how difficult it is for you to give a man a weapon and pay him 40, 50,000 naira a month? You know, how is he supposed to survive all of that? You know, survive on that, and then you've put in his hand a means by which he can get money. You've put in so much power in this individual, and you can't provide for his basic needs. Those are the kind of things that are weakening our security infrastructure. And poverty. Let's not deny the fact that when there's poverty, crime tends to go in that direction as well.
So definitely a multi-sectoral approach needed to really tackle that issue of insecurity. I mean, we're looking at all the top events, like the top 10 events that happen in Nigeria. And we've looked at the economy, devaluation of the naira, end bad governance. We just discussed the security issue, looked at the entertainment. And I want us to go back. The next major thing that happened in 2024 when it comes to entertainment is the Grammy nomination. Somehow that seems to be like the highest seal of approval for artists all over the world, and 2024 Nigerians did not disappoint. What does that tell you about the evolution of our music?
Our music is touching the world. It's everywhere. I traveled recently, and I was able to hear Nigerian music just playing on the radio, and I was so proud of myself. I was so proud of the fact that that's us, right? We're winning. We're winning. The world knows who we are. We have our celebrities going as far as India, performing shows. It's a thing of great pride to see that we're making those leaps and bounds. And, you know, just more of the same, you know. I'd like to see us win more of these Grammys, not just get nominations, you know. But it's phenomenal, and there's nothing but pride, you know, as a Nigerian, when you see Nigerians making leaps and bounds, representing the country in a positive light. Because part of what we do, we suffer from negative kind of, you know, reputation, all these kind of things that people say about Nigerians. But it's good to see that we're breaking the stereotypes, and we're shining not just for ourselves, but for the whole of Africa as well. Because, you know, people might not want to admit it, but we're at the forefront of Africa. We are leading. We're leading Africa as a whole, and if we do more of that leadership, we could be the America of Africa. You know, we could lead and make changes in our continent.
Yeah. We'll look at another headline for 2024, and this again is something that has touched a lot of Nigerians, which is, you know, the hunger virus, because that is something that from the north to the south, even the rich are complaining because people that are dependent on them are not able to feed their families anymore. You're hearing not one, and then you also look at this hunger virus being compounded by natural disasters like the flooding in Maiduguri. And we come back again to say, look, it's all about the economy. Solve poverty, solve hunger. And instead, Nigerians are being asked to carry this burden. And I think the question on everybody's lips is, where do we go from here? Where is this magic cure to this hunger virus? Where will it come from? And when do we get that respite at the end of the tunnel?
I'll tell you where it is not. It's not in rice. You see, wherever there's a problem, flooding, send rice. Terrorist attack, send rice. Hunger, send rice. People just generally complain, send rice. Christmas, send rice. We've been sending rice to Nigerians for decades. It's almost like a national policy. It doesn't work, right? We need to fix the infrastructural issues that are causing hunger. Nigerians are stamping each other to death to get rice, to get basic feeding necessities. I'll give you a perfect example. You mentioned the flooding, right? Are you aware that the dam that burst had burst 2 times before that, as recently as 2012? if it burst in 2012 and killed people then, why are we waiting till it to burst again some years later? Why are we not finding permanent solutions? And that's the problem we have in Nigeria, right? We come around, we cry with the people, we release fantastic statements about how we feel for them, then we send them rice, and we don't fix the infrastructural issues, right? People were killed in a stampede. We're going to send them more rice,
yes.
right?
So definitely not rice. It's more rice of an infrastructural problem, and maybe even different countries coming together to address the elephant in the room with this dam issue. And we still have 2 headlines I'd like us to cover, and we have less than 2 minutes. So the next big one is the National Assembly. A lot of great bills that have gone through there, but some of the important bills are just stuck, and we're wondering why. Like, when you need the National Assembly to rise to the occasion, they're not exactly coming forth, but when it comes to, say, the national anthem, they're quick to do that.
Yes, because the national anthem does not cost them anything, and it's a good rallying point, But when we're talking about fundamental bills, for example, the tax reform bill that is currently going through the process now, it's normal in any democracy for there to be back and forth, because if a bill comes, it's bound not to benefit everybody evenly, right? And it's good for there to be discourse, but it's also good if the people in the National Assembly understand that their priority is Nigerians. Ultimately, it's about Nigerians. Their budget hasn't been severely impacted by everything that's going on. So serve the people that you're there for. And some members are doing that, but many are too, it's all internal politics.
Yes, there's a lot of controversy around the National Assembly, because on the one hand they say, oh, we're cutting down our salaries, we're cutting down our the things we receive, the perks of the office, but yet it doesn't appear to make such a difference in the grand scheme of things. And how can we even hold them accountable to such pronouncements?
It's very funny in terms of there's many avenues. One of the key things I think we have seen in this government that this government fully doesn't understand is that, yes, we understand that certain mistakes were made by governments of the past. We understand. You are trying to correct it. Okay. But why is it that it is only people at the bottom level that are paying the price? We still have all the agency, all the parastatals. There was a report a few years ago that recommended we cut the agencies in half. This was by the former chief of
yes, I think the Orosonya report.
I
think there's so much they can be doing with their time, but instead we see them in controversy. Sadly, our time is up now. Thank you so much for your contributions.
Thank you.
We wish we had as much time to go through some of the events that shaped Nigeria in 2024, the top 10 events, the devaluation of the Naira, the End Bad Governance protest, the movie industry, box office with the streaming giants, the Tamua massacre and insecurity in Nigeria, Grammy nominations, hunger, looking at the flood in Maiduguri, and the hunger virus, and of course we wrapped up with the National Assembly controversy and some of the bills that are still stuck at the National Assembly.